Welcome to the world of morphology, a branch of biology. Biology is a natural science concerned with the scientific study of life and living things. Biology comes from the Latin words bios means life and logos means to study. It deals with the investigation of the origin, history, structure, function, identification, classification, distribution, development, inheritance, and significance of living things as well as their relationship and interaction with environment. Now, what is morphology? Morphology is a branch of biology dealing with the study of form and structure of organisms and specific structural features. It also studies of the size, shape, and structure of animals and plants and microorganisms and the relationship of their constituent parts.
Let's proceed to plant morphology, or also known as the phytomorphology, which is the study of the physical form and external structure of a plant. So, in this picture is an example of plant morphology. In this picture, we see different parts of the plant. We see the root system. We see the shoot system. In the root system, we see the taproot, the lateral roots, and in the shoot system, we see leaf, blade, petiole, vegetative shoot, another apical bud, axillary bud, internode, node, apical bud, reproductive shoot, modified leaves, stamens, and carpels. Let's proceed to the parts of the roots. Here we see the secondary roots, the root hair, the primary root, and the root cap. Here are some different types of roots. We have the fibrous, we have the caulin, we have the tubercular, and the taproot. Next is part of the leaf. So we see the tip, the blade, the base, the petiole, the stipules, the lateral vein, the margin, the midrib, and the bud. So here are some different kinds of leaf. We have the ash, the aspen, the elm, the hazel, the holly, the larch, and the maple. The next is the part of the stem. We see the terminal bud, the lenticel, the axillary or lateral bud. We have the bud scale, the internode, the node, the leaf scar, and the terminal bud scale scar, and the pin. So here are some different types of stem. We have the stolon, the tuber, the rhizome, and the volubulate twinning. Next is the parts of the flower. The pistil, stigma, we have the style, we have the ovary, pollen tube, stamen, another filament, petal, ovule, receptacle, sepal, and pedicel. That's all for plant morphology. So let's proceed to animal morphology. Animal morphology is also the same as the plant morphology. It's also the study of the physical form and external structure of an animal. So here's the example of animal morphology. We see the different types of the animal. We see the beak, the chin, the throat, the wing cover, the breast, the abdomen, the tarsus, the inner toe, the middle toe, claw, outer toe, hind toe, flank, thigh, under tail covered, tail feather, upper tail covered, round back, and nape. Since we choose an example of animal morphology is a bird, so we have different types of beaks here. We have the duck, we have the gull, we have the eagle, we have the crossbill, we have the nighthawk, the avocat, the woodpecker, the parrot, flamingo, kiwi, spoonbill, and the pelican. Next is the different types of the fins. We have the normal anisodactyl, we have the palmate, we have the topipalmate, the palmate, semi-palmate, the lobate, the ractorial, normal with extra long legs, and the two-toed. Here are some example of wings. Wala siyang pangalan, but here are some different kinds of wings, types of wings of a bird.
Did you know that plants are classified into two different types? And these are the terrestrial plants and aquatic plants.
When we say aquatic plants, are plants that live in water. This means that they require being submerged to survive, or that they can only grow and thrive in water. Many aquatic plants can tolerate being immersed, meaning they're out of water for a short period of time but require immersion in water for long-term survival. There are some plants that simply can't tolerate being immersed at all, but this is rare. This plant can only live when fully immersed in water. Most aquatic plants, however, have roots underwater but can only grow or flower in a partially immersed state. While terrestrial plant can be defined as any set of plants that grow on land or need to be on dry land to survive. The term terrestrial is used to differentiate plants like this, from plants that need to be in water, grow only out of trees, or grow out of rock. Terrestrial plants fall under the large category of land plants. Land plants are the kind of plants that get the nutrients they need to survive both from the air and the soil. These plants can't survive if immersed or submerged in water, as they become waterlogged and die. The roots of terrestrial plants are planted deeply in the soil. These roots help to stabilize the plant and draw minerals and any needed moisture from the soil. So we have differences and similarities between these two plants. The difference between aquatic and terrestrial plants, the line between them are often blurred. Why? Because there are many plants that are technically considered to be terrestrial plants because they grow in or on land but are able to tolerate submersion in water and can even thrive in environments where they are exposed regularly to water. Many plants have different variations of their own species, and some of these can handle submersion in water while other species from the same plant perish in those conditions. So the key difference between these two is land plants have stronger root and shoot system that aid in the courage of the plant as well for the absorption of nutrients and water, while in the water plant lack on this ability. There are many similarities between aquatic and terrestrial plants. Both varieties of this plant are green with leaves, roots, and ability to flower. Both aquatic and terrestrial plants carry out photosynthesis, have stomata for gaseous exchange, both reproduce via sexual reproductions, and both have a special adaptation to suit the environment or the habitat.
And now, here are the questions that comes into our minds while we're observing, and the questions that comes with the curiosity, and also the question we want to answer. To answer that questions, we design an experiment and research.
Of the plants that have the same size and color? Is it because it depends on the sunlight they receive? In color, the plants require less chlorophyll, the substance that absorbs light green color. The cell where photosynthesis takes place, called chloroplast, are smaller as well. As a result, some leaves are lighter green than leaves at the plant's bottom or interior. In these shades leaves, chloroplasts are larger and certain more of chlorophyll needed to absorb light. Because of this, shade leaves appear darker green. Meanwhile, in size, some leaves deals with more heat and drying wind in their locations. For a smaller leaf, shade leaves expand its size to collect as much light as possible. Why do terrestrial plants only live inland? This is because there are many plants that are technically considered to be terrestrial plants because they grow in or on land. These plants can survive if immersed or submerged in water as they'll become waterlogged and die. This root helps to establish the plants and draw minerals and any need moistures from the soil. Next is, does aquatic plants also need sunlight to grow? Yes, aquatic plants may take in carbon dioxide from the air or water, depending on whether the leaves float or are underwater. The leaves of floating plants, such as lettuce and water lilies, get direct sun. These types of aquatic plants do not require special adaptations to perform photosynthesis. They can take in carbon dioxide from the air and release oxygen into the air. The exposed surface of the leaves have a waxy outside to migrate water loss to the atmosphere like terrestrial plants. Why do other aquatic plants float in the water, while other aquatic plants live in the water? Aquatic plants float on water because they have buoyancy because of the presence of large air cavities in their parenchyma, and parenchyma is known as arrhythmia. This makes the plants float in water. Does an aquatic plant will easily die if there's a flood? Well, it depends on the plant's effect. If it was too much large or create wavy waves, there's a tendency that the floating plants might be carried away to the other side of the creek, or it might die because of their mass roots.